Welcome back for another episode of AGP Quickies, where there's always time for a quickie. I'm your host, Max, and I've got Tyler with me today. What up, Tyler?
What's up?
Today we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, the latest episode of season 3, which is episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore. And I think Tyler and I are on the same page on this one, but let's
Yeah.
go ahead and hear from you first, Tyler. You know what? You got us on a cadence last week. Let's hear if you have any negatives first. Go ahead and spout those off, and then we'll jump into what we liked.
Yeah. Okay. So too short. And it honestly it was longer than the last episode. But it was so good that it felt really short. But I mean, yeah, I would like it if we had like hour-long episodes or like 50 minutes to an hour-long episodes. These I think you said, Max, the runtime was like 46 minutes, but that's like with the credits, right? Which is going to be like 5 or 6 minutes of credits. So just a little bit short. I mean, other than that, I thought it was awesome. Loved every second of it. It was great.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time having anything negative to say. Like, I guess if I have anything, I thought that the creatures, like the two-legged creatures that he fought, looked kind of silly. But there's plenty of creatures in Star Wars that look silly, so is that really that big of a complaint? Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's too short, but it was longer this time. And you know what I like? I like when I'm enjoying a piece of television so much that I'll pull up my remote and I'll be like, okay, how much is left? Oh, good. There's still 20 more minutes. And then I'm like 10 minutes. Okay, how much is left? Oh man, only 10 more minutes. I don't know. Maybe you don't do that. But like when I was watching the season premiere of The Last of Us, I kept doing that. I'm like, oh, dude, there's like 45 minutes still. This is awesome. I don't know. It just makes me happy that I'm like, okay, good. It's not over yet because I don't want it to end. I was a little bit more okay with the length of this one, just because it was longer than last time, and I feel like they were able to accomplish a bit. But I agree. I mean, I wouldn't be against a longer runtime. You and I were talking about this earlier. I'd be down to see an hour and a half episode of a Star Wars show,
Well,
but
at
I
least
don't
do
think they're
that with
going
the
to do it.
finale, right? At least have a really long finale episode.
I agree, but they historically don't do that, right? I think Andor had one of the longest episodes so far, and I can't remember the runtime, but I think it maybe had the longest episode of any Star Wars show so far. So we'll see what happens. Which that show was good too. We stopped doing quickies when that one was out.
Yeah, that was a great show, man. I loved it. That's another one where it's like, I know it has to only be 2 seasons, but like I wish that it wasn't.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it focused on the episode 2 of The Mandalorian. What were some takeaways that you had from the episode? What did you love? Any Easter eggs that you want to point out?
So, I mean, for me, like one of the big focuses is the Darksaber, right? So the Darksaber got used a lot, which obviously we're in spoilers, guys. I'm gonna have that up on the screen, but we're in spoilers, right? But the Darksaber being used, it got used by both Bo Katan and the Mandalorian, which I say the Mandalorian, we should be saying Din, right?
But it's fun to call him Mando, but yeah.
Mando, yeah, it got used by Mando. But you can tell the difference. Like they did a really good job of showing that Mando is much more clunky with it, whereas Bo-Katan knows how to use that thing. Like she is used to it. She's trained with it. It feels much more fluid and comfortable watching her use it. Whereas Mando is just kind of like, you can tell he's a novice with it. And I think that's appropriate. Like I think that
watching her use that was so good. Oh my goodness,
it was so cool,
dude! When she's taking down that like spider tank thing or whatever, chopping its legs off, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. My son usually, he's 2. He doesn't usually watch Star Wars with me, and he likes to call it, for some reason, he calls it which might be because of the Imperial March. Honestly, might be.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not 100% sure. But he calls it. Anytime I put anything Star Wars on, oh, Daddy.
Yeah.
But he sat and watched the entire episode with me, and throughout the entire time that she was like slashing away, he's yelling and screaming, "Yeah, go, yeah, 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 go!" Just having the time of his life, and of course that made it even more fun for me. So I'm having the time of my life. And this episode's going to come out after International Women's Day, but we are recording on International Women's Day. And can I just say, Bo Katan is how you do a great female character. Like Ahsoka, Bo Katan, Leia. There's a lot of them in Star Wars, but if you're going to release an episode that highlights a strong woman, Bo Katan for today, oh my gosh, so good. Bo Katan, whatever. I forget how you pronounce her name, but she was the highlight, man. Like I love Mando. Grogu was awesome. But her coming in and saving the day was like the best thing that happened the entire episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's something I was thinking about the whole time. I'm just like, we have the sequel trilogy, right, which is not so much liked by a lot of the Star Wars fan base. Okay,
Yeah.
myself included, for a lot of reasons. There's some good things about it, but also some really crappy things. And so
Yeah,
people
I'm
say,
with you.
yeah, people say like, oh, Star Wars fans don't like a strong female character and stuff. It's like, no, come on, give me a break. We have so many super loved female characters in Star Wars, and it's like you just got to do it right. And it was really refreshing to see a character that they don't talk about their insecurities. They're not like, oh, people might not think I can do it because I'm a girl, and or like, oh, I'm going to show them my girl power. Like I hate how cringy that is in shows. They did that a lot in The Flash with Iris. Oh man, worst character ever. And it was just annoying. It's like she just goes out there and she doesn't have to talk about it. She doesn't make a deal about it. She just goes, "I'm
She just
awesome because
is
I'm awesome."
awesome.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she just walks the walk and lets it do the talking for her.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to see. And it's because like the same thing. Why she's good with the darksaber? She had it for a while and she trained with it. It's not like she's just some Mary Sue that popped up and goes, "I know how to use this because I'm a girl." Like it's like she is awesome because she's been a dedicated soldier her whole life and has trained and trained and trained,
Yeah.
and she's become this amazing person. And I think that on top of that, going a little bit different direction is that when we're looking at the CGI character versus the live action, like such a solid transition. And I feel like I like the live action one even more than I
Yeah.
like her. And even though it's the same actress too, but like that transition with her was done so well. Just
Well, yeah, and I was gonna just say, like, if you watched the Clone Wars series, you're obviously familiar with Bo Katan, but on top of that, you've seen Mandalore a lot in that series. Like,
yeah,
it's all over
yeah,
not every season, but I mean, it plays a very prominent role in the final season of Clone Wars. And so for me, it was pretty neat to see Mandalore again, and it was also really cool to see Bo Katan there again. And I don't know, it's fun being the fans that are like I wouldn't say all the lore. It's not like I've read every comic and every book, but I've read a lot of books and I've watched all the shows and everything other than Resistance. I gave that thing 1.5 episodes and bounced. Thing's awful. But anyway, the point being, like, Bo-Katan has had a good character arc, and if you're just coming in the Mandalorian, you may dislike her at times, like, which isn't like unfair. She can be a bit
yeah.
gruff, but she's pretty unlikable in the Clone Wars. She starts as a bad guy, and
Mm-hmm.
then moves her way into being more of an anti-hero, and then eventually being actually a hero. And then you see her in Rebels as well, of course, and all that. So last week we also spoke about the fact that, well, I had mentioned I don't want the whole season to just be him getting to the bathing in the rivers of Mandalore or the
Yeah,
whatever. He got to it in the next episode. Fantastic.
yeah,
In season 2, his whole journey was to get Grogu back to a Jedi, and it took the whole season, which that was fine. It was great. We got Boba Fett, we got Bo-Katan and all the Ahsoka. We had a lot of great things that led to that moment, so it was fine. I just really didn't want to see this season be nothing but him getting to Mandalore and like a bunch of side quests to get him there. So I was very satisfied with he gets in, he takes a bath, he gets eaten by not eaten, but he gets like dunked in by that Mandalorian creature, which was awesome to see. And then Bo
Yeah.
Katan just goes in and she's like, "Hey, guess what? I've been a Star Wars badass for like 20 years. I'm gonna save you." Like not in actual like writing. I think she's only been around for maybe 15 years, but like she's been around the block for more than 20 years. And I know that it is what it is, but she looks dang good for probably being in her 50s or however old she's supposed to be at this point.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
because Bo
yeah.
Katan probably was in her 20s or 30s during the Clone Wars, and this is 25 years after that.
Yeah,
So,
I think she's supposed to be about 50.
and I think,
Um,
well, Katie Sackhoff is probably in her 40s or so. So I guess that
I
works.
think I think she was close to 40 when she was in the second season. So, I mean, but I mean, like, yeah, like there was a lot of people that were like, she doesn't look old enough. And I was like, look, she just looks good for her age. Look at Ming Na Wen. Like you can prove
Yeah,
that
she's
like
like
women can look
60 or
really good for
something.
their age.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Isn't Ming Na Wen like 60 or something? Or
She's
am I,
almost 60. And
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're
she's
the only
beautiful.
almost 60-year-old that I know of that I think is hot still. you know?
You
So
could be my mother, and I'm into it.
but but yeah, man, like I just think that they did so well, and the fact that she did come from kind of the past that she had, where she was kind of with the wrong people. I feel like that dynamic has a play in her relationship with the Mandalorian right now, because she can look at him and be like, I was with the wrong people at one time, and she's just like, you need to just leave those people. You need to just make the right decision and leave those people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, to me, when I'm watching it, I'm like, are you thinking about yourself? Like, are you putting yourself in his shoes and being like, I've been through this. You need to do what I did. That's the feeling that I get, and I like that dynamic.
I get that feeling too, especially like when she's making him the soup at the end there. And, she's like, everyone grew up with this. From the size of
Mhm.
Grogu, they grew up with this. And you're claiming to be some Mandalorian when you're just following this crazy sect. Like there was a lot of, she didn't say any of that really. There's a lot of subtext in that.
She didn't have to. He got it. Like, he
Yeah.
gets it.
Yeah.
But like it was funny though. She did the soup scene, and that just pulled me into Lord of the Rings. When when Eowyn makes that soup and he wants to dump it out. I thought it was going to be something similar, but
Yeah.
yeah, like that whole dynamic just makes way more sense when you look in Bo-Katan's past. But now you see Bo-Katan and you're like, I want her to be like the leader of like a good guy group. Like, I want her to really be at the forefront. And she's just a really likable character.
I
And
agree.
that is why I am named the Bo-Katan simp. That's me, guys. I'm the Bo-Katan.
I get it. Well, hey, before we wrap up, I want to talk about something else. There's a little elephant in the room that is probably just an Easter egg. You and I were talking about this droid. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the episode, Mando Din goes to um, Tatooine. He's looking to get that IG droid's motherboard or whatever memory circuit, and ends up with an R5 unit. And you and I were talking on the phone earlier about what that could be, and I think it's just like a fun Easter egg. But it was interesting. I was reading my kid bedtime stories tonight, and he pulled out this Star Wars book that I have of like all the original trilogy. And as I'm flipping through it, I see, oh yeah, it's literally a picture, and I sent it to you, Tyler, of
Yeah.
Luke with R2 and that R5 unit, and that's the R5 unit they buy. So I'm pretty sure that it's just that same R5 unit that they bought, and then like immediately just malfunctions because then the
Yeah.
Jawas take it back, and of course it ends up with I know she has a name, but the mechanic chick. So I think that's what it is. I think it's just a fun Easter egg for that exact same astromech. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to look more into it. I think it could be that same droid, but where was that droid before that? Like, because she talks about it being, having fought in the rebellion, but that could just be, she lies about tons of stuff, so she could have just been
Oh
lying.
yeah, I mean she's a swindler for sure. And I know we had talked about it maybe being Obi-Wan's droid, but like I looked into that a bit, and he has more of a R2D2 style droid. It's just red. So I
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's going back to the Clone Wars. So I
yeah,
don't know, but I agree. It does look a lot like that. So we'll see. Maybe they'll come out and confirm something about it soon.
yeah. They might.
But
All in all, though, fantastic episode. Let's do numbers. We don't usually do numbers. I'm gonna give this bad boy 4.5 out of 5. What would you give this?
yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I didn't know what we were gonna do. If we are gonna do out of 10, I would.
I'm
But
fine doing 10, but I'm
yeah,
so
let's
used to
do
doing
it. Let's
5.
do 10. I'm like 10. I would give it a 9.5, probably. I gave it a 9 before, but really the only reason like I say, that I didn't like it was because it was just a tad too short. But so I'd
Okay.
give it a 9.5 out of 10.
I'm probably at a 9 out of 10 on that. I don't know why. Why am I taking any points away? It's not a 10. Like 10s have to like move me, and nothing moved me. But it was 9.5's good. It was stellar Star Wars. It's one of the better Mandalorian episodes we've had, like period, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And
So
and you gotta love Grogu jumping and doing flips.
doing flips and like going off on his own to get Bo, like yeah, dude. Grogu was a highlight too. We didn't even talk about him, but this is AGP Quickies. We've been talking long enough. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. But for this episode of AGP Quickies, this is Max and Tyler signing out and letting you know to never underestimate the value of a quickie.